Let's see if y'all can see me here. Damn. See me here. Shalom, Akim. Shalom. Hey man, this is just just doing an impromptu video. You know, I was sitting here studying some things, looking over some of the news. You know, first off, I want to give all praise to Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. I want to give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. I want to send peace, love, and salutations to Yahweh. I'm out there pushing the word of sincerity and truth. This is Ariala. I'm just sitting here, man. I was just kind of reading over the news, going over some of the things Donald Trump was doing, and I was hearing this word protectionism a lot. And I wanted to go over it, and made me think about a lot of the things that we've been talking about on the previous algorithms. And I just want to touch on some things, man, bring some edification. Y'all brothers, let me know if y'all can hear me well, because I will be playing some video clips and just kind of going in on a few things. Now, when you look out into the geopolitical and geoeconomic spectrum, you're seeing the emergence of Donald Trump's domestic and foreign policy. He's starting to really put a lot of things together. He's pushing a lot of executive orders. And one of the cheap things that's happening right now is his issues with trade and foreign trade and imports and exports. Imports, how much stuff you bring in from other nations, and exports, how much stuff you sell out to other nations. Now, because the United States has the petrodollar system, it is easy for the United States to import more things than it does export, meaning it can run a trade deficit. And it actually helps the economy globally, because as the US capitalizes on its advantage in a market by sending out so much money and deflating the currency artificially by putting out so much dollars into the market, it can artificially keep its currency from getting too expensive and everybody running out of the market. So with Donald Trump cutting the TPP deal, and you see how he's about to cut NAFTA, this is going to bring problems to the United States consumer. Why? Because when we buy shit from other nations that's hella cheap, that's an advantage to us, right? Now, I was looking at this chart here. This right here is talking about the world's richest countries. And it's showing you the top United States imports and exports, but right here it's really emphasizing on the imports. Okay, y'all brothers, let me know if y'all can see this. I can make it bigger, Lord willing. All right, so you can see the top person that we import from is China, $502 billion worth of imports. Then Canada, because of NAFTA, and Mexico, also because of the NAFTA agreement. Okay, so when you look at Mexico, the top thing they give us is what? Cars. They do a lot of car manufacturing there for us, and it's cheap because the labor is cheap. Slakia, I'm gonna take a sip of my wine. All right, continue. Now, Trump is talking about putting a 20% tax, or their cabinet is proposing a 20% tax on Mexican imports. Okay, so that means these things that we purchase from them is going to go up. All right. So we'll either have to get it from somewhere else, or we're going to have to pay more in order for these things. The thing to watch out for, man, is fruits, vegetables, a lot of stuff from Central America that's coming in. Like, I was talking with my wife. We was talking about avocados, meat. A lot of these things are imported, man, from Central American countries, from Canada. So this stuff goes up. You're gonna get hit. And that reminded me of a scripture. That reminded me of 2nd Ezra, the 16th chapter and the 21st verse. And this is, I believe, when you go up to the top, talking about Babylon, right? In Asia. Now, which is badass, right? So now you go down to the 21st verse, it says, behold, victuals shall be good cheap upon the earth. Why? Because of the petrodollar status and the top rate currency that the Babylon the Great has, the daughter of Babylon has. Those imports and those goods that we bring in are cheap upon the earth, right? It says it's called deflation. The other currencies against the dollar are deflated, right? It says that they shall think themselves to be in good case. And is this not the state of America? Does not people think that we're in good case because of the status of the dollar, because of the status of our economy? They think they're in good case. And it says, and even then shall evils grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. And this is what we're seeing happening in the planet. We're seeing the Most High put it into the minds of these competing nations to set up a system that's outside of the beast system, man. And those two sides are coming into a fight, man. They're coming to battle. Okay. So I wanted to. I was listening to this earlier today. This is Rogue Money, the Dollar Vigilante. I think that's what he goes by. And then you have Dex, who's a trader online. But they were talking about Trump, and Dex he's asking a question. He's trying to understand, and this is something that I think about too myself. Is Trump really just being controlled by the elite? And we have this paradigm of the East and West, or the sovereign nation, or sovereign or patriotic mindset people, protectionist mindset people against the globalists. Is this something that the elite are orchestrating for a fight? Or did Donald Trump really break into this system and break into the bureaucracy of the elite, and this fight is actually organically happening? Either way, we understand it in prophecy. We understand what's going to happen. But just the dynamics of the situation is always intriguing to think about and to understand, And I'm going to play this. I want you brothers to listen.
All right, see, now I'm a little concerned then, because if he really means to do that, let's say he really wants to do that, like he's really serious, like for real. That means he's going against the powers that be.
The powers that be are right now taking a major blow.
Yeah, but
can y'all brothers hear, man? I just want to make sure y'all brothers can hear. Y'all let me know on the comment board if y'all can hear this thing, man.
Him, man.
No, there is a faction that is protecting him. That is with all the intel, best juicy bits I can get from some very credible sources. Is there's a faction that's protecting him, a faction that got him this far, and they're ensuring survivability. The cabal. What you gotta do is, if you get a chance, go back and listen to my interviews with London Paul. London Paul is one of the most connected individuals in the world when it comes to international finance. He's been calling about Trump presidency for like, I don't know, a year and a half ago. He was saying that Trump was going to win this, that, and the other. And he's somebody who's very familiar with the cabal. And he's a source. He's a source to a lot of the other, guys who are quoting things. London Paul is the source material. And so for me to have London Paul on, go back and listen to it. And then go back and listen to what Harley Schlanger says. Harley Schlanger is right now currently in Europe. And these are guys who are connected to the actual levers of power. Okay? There is an absolute fracturing. Yeah, there's evil, there's bad guys, but there's also good guys. Trump belongs to that good guy network. Notice on Inauguration Day, bro, he didn't put his hand on the typical Bible that they've always, every president. That is an occultic Masonic Bible. He did not put his hand on it. He had his own Bible.
Yeah, I didn't peep that though. I didn't, I saw that he was talking about having this other Bible on the news, but I didn't peep that he had actually sworn himself in on a different Bible than what all the other presidents sworn himself in. Did y'all brothers notice that, man? I remember him talking about, my mom wrote my name in this Bible, or his grandma wrote his name in this Bible, but I didn't peep that during the inauguration. So I felt like that was interesting.
Bro, and he put his hand on that Bible to swear in. Did you notice that? Pence did the same thing.
Nope, I did not.
Yep, Pence did the same thing. That is a symbol. That is a symbol saying, I'm not part of the system. I'm not owing my allegiance to that. That was, I caught that. A bunch of other people also caught that as well. This is huge. There's a power shift that's happening.
All right. One thing I want to stop real quick is he's saying Davos. And so the first thing that should come into your mind is, what the fuck is Davos? And so when you look up Davos is a place over there in Switzerland where they have the World Economic Forums, where all the top elite bankers, businessmen, and then people who are just associate themselves with these people. You have top actors, different environmentalist groups, all types of people come together. And they just recently had an annual meeting. And so when you're listening to this one interview here, you hear how they're talking about how he's going to go into Putin here in a minute, and how that has led up into a fracture or a fight, with this one, what I'll call the East system versus the Western pagan Roman reincarnated Davos financial system. Okay. So I want to just play this clip real quick. I know, y'all know how I do these algorithms. I'm going to give you this clip so you can see the reality of what's controlling the world today. Esau's kingdom, and how the Most High is systematically breaking this kingdom down and leading it into World War III. This is why we call it the World War III algorithm. There's many algorithms that Yahweh Bashim Yahushua has going on the planet Earth. But I particularly want to focus on this geoeconomic war algorithm, okay?
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this session co-created by the Financial Times and the World Economic Forum called Protectionism, Back to the Future. My name is Gillian Tett. I'm the US
Remember that word,
Managing Editor of the
protectionalism.
FT. And I have to admit that the name was actually my idea. Originally, we were going to call it something very sober and serious, like the future of global trade and the WTO. But I've been coming to Davos now for almost a decade. And what strikes me this year is that the mood has really changed. In previous years, Davos was very forward-looking, very optimistic. Many people were assuming that globalization, free market capitalism, innovation would go ever upwards on a trend, and the future was looking bright. This year, we've been hearing a lot about the past, or rather about past frightening historical parallels. In particular, the 1930s, that great protectionist era, has been tossed around a lot as a warning of what could happen if protectionism rears its...
So you see how she threw that in there? She's telling you that protectionism and the nationalistic, we're gonna buy America, we're gonna do everything for America. These other nations need to do everything for themselves. How that led into war. You know what I mean? World war, in fact.
Its head, and in some people's eyes, a sign of what is already happening. So we have an absolutely terrific panel to discuss these issues. We're both going to be discussing it amongst ourselves and with the people in the room and with the audience watching on Facebook Live and the FT's own channel as well, and the web streaming platform. So a lot of people are watching these a lot of people are watching the debate and this very important issue.
All right, boom. So so right now, just, you know, this same month, they're going on to this idea of protectionism, and you see the elite congregating and trying to figure out their strategy as you watch this interview to combat that idea and to extend their mercantile empire, so to speak. You see what I'm saying? So that's the battle that's going on. Okay? That's the battle that you see. And you have these same type of groupings of things happen in the ancient world. Okay? Now, I want to go back to this interview, and I want y'all to just listen to this next part.
All right, here's my thing, man. This is where I'm at with it. You know, I miss nothing. All right? I miss nothing. Here's what I'm saying. Either one or two things is going down right now. And either the powers that be have become way more sophisticated and they're like 100 steps ahead of us, or
and the way that they have been ruling up until this point, that's what you would think. You was like, okay, clearly, you know, this is being controlled. And so Dex is he's having a question in his mind, and he's presenting it right now.
Our current president really did penetrate the bureaucracy.
Listen to this, Aki.
Yeah, it's not
Some
just
kind of way. I'm trying to understand though.
No. If you think the focus is Trump and Trump penetrated the bureaucracy, you're missing the whole thing, bro. This didn't start with Trump. You know who started this whole thing?
Who started this
You know who really accelerated this whole thing?
Who's that?
Vladimir Putin.
Explain.
When Vlad came to power, and they chose Vlad. Who chose Vlad? Well, the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds, and their oligarchs who controlled Russia right after the fall of the Soviet Union, who was chopping up Russia piecemeal. Because look, the Bolshevik Revolution was a Rockefeller and Rothschild funded operation.
All right, so you have to go into the Bolshevik Revolution, and then you start going into the dissolution or the breakdown of the Soviet Union, and then, you know, this is you get into the 90s, man. And so he's kind of just touching in on some of the things that Russia was doing during this time under the influence of Putin.
Okay, that's a known fact. So when they chose Putin, the lowly, shy little KGB colonel who was to replace the drunkard Boris Yeltsin, they picked him because they thought he wasn't going to be a problem. They picked him because they thought he was just going to be a yes man and take orders. They had no idea that this guy was a patriot at heart. They had no idea that he was working within a network of individuals that are all Russophiles. And one of the things that Russians have never forgotten, they've never forgotten nor forgave, London Paul Bixel talks about this as well, they never forgave the Rothschilds for what they've done.
Right.
Boom. So what scripture does that bring to your mind? The one where it talks about how it's going to put the hooks in the mouth, you know, of the leaders. And then in particular, it always makes me think about this in Revelation 13:2. And it says, and the beast which I saw like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear. And how we always tell you, we always tell Akim about how that is going to be that Russian system that's going to push to the end of Babylon, man. And it's going to rip this place in pieces, man. You have this split that's going to come, and it's going to be Russia is going to be at the helm of that destruction, man, in World War III. But there's a process and a political and economic process that's going to lead up to that, and we're watching it. So when you see Russia and China and Iran and Brazil and India and South Africa and Ethiopia and all these nations come together, it's all to produce this World War III outcome that the Mossad is putting together, and Russia is in history. You can, well, you know, we're listening about how Russia is playing its part, and it's always just been building up. Kind of like the brother Kadash Pasha, the hooks in Mayguy's jaw, man. You see that, okay?
So when Putin came to power, what is the first thing he did? He went right after the oligarchs. He froze their assets. He jailed them.
Now, for some of you brothers, I don't know if y'all remember, but they was always labeling Putin as a dictator, a murderer, a killer. But this is the people he was taking out. He was taking out the people that was running the banks and running the economic systems in Russia for the West. Okay? The Mossad put it in his mind to start that process.
Killed them. He threw a couple of them out of the country. What did he do with the Rockefellers and Rothschilds? Every single one of those entities, he kicked them out. Russia's GDP at that time was, I think it was about 150 billion. Took it from 150 billion and made it into a $2.3 trillion economy. He took the national debt, which was 86% of GDP, and brought it down to 7% of GDP. The Russian pension, which was around 150 rubles a month, and he made it 10 to 15,000 rubles a month.
So through his different trade deals and establishing trade deals with the East, he was Putin was able to basically, during that Cold War period, build up massive armaments, make deals, make money. He had all the Eastern Bloc Europe still. He still had European gas pipelines that they had to pay. So as Europe developed, Russia developed, man. You look up the Gazprom. Look up Gazprom and its deals with Europe. You know, Russia was making good deals, man. So he took advantage where he could. And just like I'm gonna read this what Kadar Shapai had put. He put Ezekiel 38:4, which I mentioned, the water, and I will turn thee back and put hooks unto thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth and all thine army, horse and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling the swords, man. And you see these missile defense systems being placed all along the Russian-Chinese borders, all in Lithuania and Latvia and all the other Balkan states and countries, establishing themselves in Syria, which has always been an important location, which y'all probably can see down here at the bottom of my screen. I got the 6-day war, a video on that. Lord willing, the next algorithm is going to be the least shall draw them out, and how the settlement and different territorial disputes that's going on in and around the land of Israel is going to culminate into more fighting, and how the state of Israel is really producing World War III by its aggressiveness in trying to expand and change the borders, removing the landmarks, you know, that they don't belong in. So, you know, it's all playing into prophecy, but, you know, not to get too far off topic, man, going back to Russia and its expansion, that was all underneath this dude, Putin. Putin's going to have this place through, you know? And so you see this similar mindset with Donald Trump. And so you're seeing the establishment media link Trump with Russia. And so how they're going to play that is going to be very interesting.
I mean, this guy made rapid changes. That's where it began. And then we've had some individuals who are Rothschild bankers all of a sudden start winding up dead. One of them was hung in Iran, caught in Iran and hung there because of Spetsnaz. Then you see him move against the global. See, the whole globalist. This centers around Western civilization. This centers predominantly around Europe and America.
You see what he's saying? He's telling you about the beast system. He's telling you what the beast system came out of, man. Right here.
America and all the Commonwealth countries. That's where this globalism springs forth from. What Putin has done, and even what China has done, is incredible. They have created an Eastern bloc towards it. Okay, now that's a
and that's not where globalism comes from. We know the scriptures. We know where this idea of globalism comes from since the time of the Tower of Babel, man. You know, and this is one of the reasons why King Solomon was lamenting during the time of his reign, because he understood the flesh or death still reigned upon the earth because all the idol worship, people wasn't worshiping Yahweh Shem Yahushua, you know. Now, I want to read this a couple of things real quick, and then we're going to transition into some other things, because I want to get into this trade protectionism. But I want to read to you how, you know, international trade and, you know, free market isn't a recent idea. It's a very ancient idea. Okay. So we're here on Ancient EU, and I told you brothers about this website the last time I did an algorithm. But when you type in Tyree, this is what it says. And, you know, this is just different so-called scholars or people who are writing, but they give excellent information. Okay. Tyree. It says Tyree is an ancient Phoenician port city, which in myth is known as the birthplace of Europa. All right. And Dido of Carthage, who gave aid to and fell in love with Athenius of Troy. And the city consisted of two parts: the main trade center on an island in Old Tyree, about a half-mile opposite on the mainland. The old city, known as Yushu, was founded 2750 BCE, and the trade center grew up shortly after. In time, the island complex became more prosperous and populated than Yushu, and was heavily fortified. The prosperity of Tyre attracted the attention of King Nebuchadnezzar II of Babylon, who laid siege to the city for 14 years in the 6th century BCE without breaking their defenses. During the siege, most of the inhabitants of the mainland city abandoned it for the relative safety of the island city. Yushu became a suburb of Tyre on the mainland and remained until the coming of Alexander the Great. Okay, so you can read there. I'm going to skip down. Okay, it says the Golden Age. Tyre was in its golden age around 10th century BCE. In the 8th was colonizing other sites in the area and enjoying great wealth and prosperity, owing primarily to an alliance with Israel. The Tyrian alliance and trade agreement with David, king of Israel, was initiated by the king of Tyre. Abibal, who sent the new king timber from the fabled cedars of Lebanon, as Abibal's son Hiram is said to have done for David's son Solomon. This alliance resulted in a very lucrative partnership that benefited both parties. Trade agreements. Okay? According to the historian Richard Miles, commercially, this deal not only gave Tyre privileged access to the valuable markets of Israel, Judea, and northern Syria. And these epicenters, these lands are always lands of conflict. Why? It's the epicenter of economics, trade, the movement of goods and services and people. The Most High is going to give us back these regions to rule, because from these epicenters, that's where true rulership should issue itself forth. Okay? But the wrong people are in the land. And that's the problem with the world today. Okay? It says, it also provided further opportunities for joint overseas ventures. Indeed, a Tyrian Israelite expedition traveled to the Sudan and Somalia, Kush, and perhaps even as far as the Indian Ocean. Another development which encouraged the wealth of Tyre seems to have been a religious revolution in the city under the reigns of Abibal and Hiram, and elevated the god known as Melkor. And then you can go and get all into that, and then other people will take it into the masonry and this and that. But then when you read in Ezekiel, it was that very reason why the Most High put a hit out on Tyrus or Tyre. Okay? When you read here in the book of Ezekiel, man. So this right here is showing you that economic trade and everything like that always was centered around military expansion, war, and empires, man. And we see that very same thing happening today. Okay, we see the same thing happening today. Matter of fact, let's read this in Ezekiel 26. I'm just gonna read quickly, but I'm gonna read Ezekiel. 27, and I'm gonna read down through it. Okay, it's Ezekiel 27:1. It says, "The word of the Lord came again unto me, saying, Now, thou son of man, take up a lamentation for Tyrus, and say unto Tyrus, O thou art situate in the entry of the sea, which art a merchant of the people for many isles. Thus saith the Lord power, O Tyrus, thou hast said, I am of perfect beauty." So this is the same time when we're reading in Tyrus's golden age. The prophecy of his downfall came, and it was the Israelites that prophesied it. We were bound with these guys, trading with them, making money. And at the same time, the Most High gave the Israelites the foreknowledge of its demise, of its imminent demise. And when you read about Tyre in here, it goes into Alexander the Great and its siege, so this was before the time of Alexander. So this is a perfect prophecy telling you about its downfall. And it's the same likening that you have today. This is the modern day Tyre. It's situate to where everything comes in and out of this place, okay? So let's read of its characteristics, and you can align it today, all right? It just makes sense. Verse 3. Let me see. Verse 4, it says, Thy borders are in the midst of the seas. Thy builders have perfected thy beauty. They have made all thy ship aboards of fir trees of Sinai. They have taken cedars of Lebanon and make masts of thee. Of the oaks of Bashan they have made thine oars, and the company of the Asherites have made thy benches of ivory, brought out of the isles of Chittim, fine linen with embroidered work from Egypt, was that which thou spreadest forth to be thy sail, blue and purple from the isles of Elisha. Was that which covered thee. The inhabitants of Zidon and Arvad, and were thy mariners, thy wise men on Tyrus, that were in thee, were thy pilots. The ancients of Gabal and of the wise men thereof were in thy caulkers. All the ships of the sea with the mariners were in thee to occupy thy merchandise. They of Persia and of Lud and of Put were in thine army, thy men of war. See, they had hired men of war from these other nations. They hanged the shield and helmet in thee. Okay? Now they called it NATO. They set forth thy comeliness. The men of Arvad with thine army were upon thy walls around about, and the Gmmims were in thy towers. They hanged their shields upon thy walls round about. They have made thy beauty perfect. So they made it seem like, God damn, balling, okay? Because everybody was protecting their money and their interests. And who has the money and interests of all the nations round about today? America and the West. So we're seeing these same allegiances and these same alliances play themselves out in the current state of the world. I'm going to skip down. And when you get to verse 16, Syria was thy merchant by reason of the multitude of thy wares of thy making, and they occupied in thy fairs with emeralds, purple, and embroidered work, and fine linen, and coral, and agate. Judah in the land of Israel They were thy merchants. They traded in the market, in thy market, wheat of Minnith, and Panag, and honey, and oil, and balm. Damascus was thy merchant, the multitude of wares of thy making, for the multitude of all riches, the wine of Helbon, and white wool. And it talks about Dan and Javan, and iron, Cassia, Dedan, Arabia, Ishmael. It says lambs and rams and goats. It goes on and on and on. The expanse of what they had going on, man. Niggas was balling, bro. Niggas was hella balling. Okay. So when you go down, verse 30, it says, verse 30, and shall cause their voice to be heard against thee, and shall cry bitterly, and shall cast up dust upon their head, and they shall wallow themselves in the ashes, and they shall make themselves utterly bald for thee, and gird them with sackcloth, and they shall weep for thee with bitterness and heart and bitter wailing. Doesn't that remind you of Revelation, the 18th chapter? It says, in their wailing, they shall take up a lamentation for thee and lament over thee, saying, what city is like Tyrus, like the destroyed in the midst of the sea? When thy wares went forth out of the seas, thou fillest many peoples. And if somebody can find that in Revelation 18 and put it on a comment board, that'd be cool, because you can see the similitude of what's happening. All right. And so you see this process happening in the world markets today. We're going from free trade, illustrious, globalized world market to everything being shut down. As the scriptures say here in Ecclesiastes 12:4, the door shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and the daughters of music shall be brought low. So you're going to see all the traffic and in and out and bustling of the city slow down. And that's what's going to happen with this so-called protectionist agenda. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so yeah, the brother put it, the GMS soldier of Yahweh, Revelation 18:12, the merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones and of pearls and fine linen and purple and silk and scarlet and thine wood and thy manner of vessels of ivory and all manner of vessels of precious wood and brass and iron and marble, and they cast dust on their heads. I'm sorry, that skips down when you get to verse 19, which GMS Vegas put there, which is what I wanted to get right there in verse 18. And they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, alas, alas, the great city wherein were made rich all that had ships and by the sea by reason of her costliness. Okay. And so you keep, when we're looking at this paradigm happen, we're looking at prophecy, man. And this is what makes our faith strong, by hearing of this word and understanding through the spirit, and we are able to see this, because everybody ain't even able to put this together. Everybody is not able to see this happen and give credit to the true power of the universe. You can have all these geopolitical and geoeconomic forecasters, but are they giving the credit to who it belongs to? Yahweh Shem Yahushua? No. That is reserved for the men of the Lord. And that's what you're seeing, man. You're watching biblical prophecy happen as Trump and his administration create these currencies and trade wars and world wars, and how it's spread. And y'all right, brother, it is y'all pop. Now I want to read this article. This is on thebalance.com. It's in the U.S. economy section. It says trade protectionism, 4 methods with examples, pros and cons. Why protectionism feels so good, but it's so wrong. By Kimberly Amadeo. This is written on January 20th. It says, or updated on January 20th. Definition: trade protectionism are measures that countries use to limit unfair competition from foreign industries. It is a defensive measure that's politically motivated. It works in the short run, but is very destructive in the long run. It makes a country and its industries less competitive in international commerce. All right, so by putting these tariffs or taxes on these other nations, you're making their goods more expensive to your people. So to try to get your people to buy your goods, the U.S. goods, and try to get other nations to buy your goods too. All right, maybe you can get other people to go along with your tariffs. It says 4 methods with examples. Countries use a variety of ways to protect their trade. One way is to enact tariffs that tax imports. It immediately raises the price of imported goods. That makes them less competitive when compared to locally produced goods. So instead of buying that car that was made in Mexico, you put a 20% tax on that bitch, make it more expensive. So now you're going to buy that car that was made in Detroit. That's the point. Okay? This method works the best for countries with a lot of imports, such as the United States. The most famous example is the Shute-Hawley tariff of 1930. It was originally designed to protect farmers from agricultural imports from Europe, which was stepping up farming after the destruction of World War I. However, by the time the bill made it through Congress, it had slapped tariffs on many more imports. Other countries retaliated, trade wars. The resultant competitive war restricted global trade. It was one reason for the extended severity of the Great Depression. Okay? The second way of protecting trade is when the government subsidizes local industries with tax credits or even direct payments. Mexico is doing this. Got a brother calling in. Hold on. Hey, Shalom, Mark. Hey, Yabashim Shabrakata, you on, Knock? You on?
Yeah, I got a precept for you, man.
Come on, champ.
We're going into these algorithms. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to be understood for a whole lot of people. You know what I'm saying? And to be able to break that thing down and understand it and link it up with the scriptures like you're doing on this show right now. I got a precept just to back you up just for being able to see it. You know what I'm saying? How the Lord blessed us with that ability. This is Luke chapter 10, verse 23. I'm going to read 23 and 24. It says, and he turned him unto his disciples and said privately, Blessed are the eyes which see the things that ye see. For I tell you that many prophets and kings have desired to see those things which ye see and have not seen them, and to hear those things that ye hear and have not heard them. You know what I'm saying? So to be able to go into these things and make it understandable, or put it in layman terms, you know what I'm saying, it's a cold spirit to be in, and everybody ain't got it like that. You know what I'm saying? The scriptures talk about how the Lord revealeth his secrets unto his servants the prophets. You know what I'm saying? And to be able to break that down and crack the code, so to speak, to be able to deliver that message to the people. You know what I'm saying? It's a blessing indeed, man. You got all these dudes that get caught up in all type of other madness, and they forget about the scriptures. You know what I'm saying? The hardest books are the ones that you breaking down right now, live on camera. You know what I'm saying? Going into them prophecies and knowing what that means. That's what I'm saying. That's why everybody in the church so blind. They ain't worried about what's going on or what's coming or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? All they know is love your neighbor, obey your master, and you know what I'm saying? And John 3:16. They don't know about the hooks being put back in the Russians' jaws, and you know what I'm saying? Ain't no coincidence that Donald Trump is the president while we in the last trumpet to be blown. You know what I'm saying? Woo. But to be able to bring all that, out and make that understandable, man. You know what I'm saying? The water your house, show shop for that, boy. Yeah, I don't say otherwise, boy. I don't say we screwed otherwise.
Yeah, that's our only way out of this situation. When you look at the scope and magnitude of what we're facing, we ain't facing no regular ass shit, brother. This is an empire of empires. This is truly is the empire of empires. And so, you know, we need the power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua to pull us out of this situation.
God. That's what I'm saying. he already said he was going to do it. So all we got to do is keep on studying and watching algorithm videos. You know what I'm saying? But that was all I had. You know what I'm saying? I would say eyes open to make a difference. You know what I'm saying? So,
wow, brother.
Yeah, bro, you killing it, brother. We learning, so you know what I'm saying. Keep on bringing that thing on out. I'm gonna let you get back to your lesson.
Kanak, man, the water man, y'all about you Shabrakata.
Yeah, Shabrakata, Shalom.
Hey, Shalom, man. Y'all brothers and all call in, man. I love it. Come on, man. I need all that juice up off of y'all, man. Need all that juice. All right, so we're gonna continue on with the points, and the brothers, it made a beautiful point. This is all through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemel Shah. All of these things are coming together for our understanding, and like I said earlier, to build our faith, man. Because we're coming into some crazy times, man. We're coming into crazy times, and the only thing that's gonna get us through is the wisdom and knowledge of Yahweh Shemel Shah. Okay. So, I like going into this stuff. I like talking about it. And it's something, I've always been a type of person that watched Esau and was peeping out what the fuck he was doing. And so to read the scriptures and see how it was already written beforehand, when I read those things in the Bible, I'm just like, oh my goodness. Like, how do y'all not see this? This go hard, bro. Like, I don't understand how y'all don't see how hard the Bible go. Like, y'all tripping. But hey, it's only for the elect, right? So going back into this article, I'm gonna continue on this article, finish this up, and I just gotta probably like one or two more points. I'm not gonna keep you brothers too much longer, brother Akian, but I just wanted to touch on this point. This is just a World War III extra for you brothers that are just tuning in and trying to figure out where we at. I'm just doing a World War III algorithm extra. This really is an extra to the trade/currency war algorithm that I did. Right now in the media, Trump is moving, man. He ain't bullshitting. So he's producing these executive orders at such a high rate that I was just reading about some of the things that he was doing. I was like, well, this can be like a little algorithm. And the apostles and elders are going live. Fuck it. Let's go. We're going to go live with this bitch. Let's go, champ. So the apostles and elders put the let's go, champ boot out there. So I'm feeling it. And that's what we're here right now. Okay. Continuing on. Back in the balance.com, what is trade protectionism article. Down here, it says a second way of protecting trade is when government subsidizes local industries with tax credits or even direct payments that lowers the price of locally produced goods and services. Okay. It works even better than tariffs because now the products are cheaper even when shipped overseas. This method works best for countries that rely mainly on exports. Okay, so if you're an exporting country, if you subsidizing costs for your say I'm a government and I'm gonna give, we always use shoes. I'll give you some money to make your shoes, so you have less expenses where you can make your shoes cheaper. Or if you can make your shoes cheaper, the people in the nation can buy your shoes at a cheaper price, and the people all over the world can buy your shoes at a cheaper price. So, boom. All right. Now your products are more desirable in the market. Okay. It says a good example of this is, once again, the U.S. agricultural industry. The Agricultural Adjustment Act of 1933 allowed the government to pay farmers not to grow crops or livestock that restricted supply and raised prices. This subsidy helped farmers who had been devastated by the Dust Bowl. Okay. A third method is by imposing quotas on imported goods. This method is more effective than the first two. That's because the foreign country cannot ship more goods no matter how low it sets the price through subsidies. Most textbooks omit the fourth type of trade protectionism because it is subtle. That is a deliberate attempt by a country to lower its currency value, thereby making its exports cheaper and more competitive. This method can result in retaliation and start up a currency war. Countries can lower their currency's value through either a fixed exchange rate like China yuan or by creating so much national debt that it has the same effect like the US dollar decline. Okay, so you see China devalued their currency up against the US dollar. They did that in response to the United States doing QE1, 2, and all the quantitative easing, increasing the national debt, flooding the market with more dollars, man. That artificially devalued the currency. Okay, and that made everything cheaper. Okay, so you see that current war. Okay, where am I? Let me go on. Let me get back. So I want to finish this. Okay, advantages. It says if a country is trying to grow strong in a new industry, tariffs will protect it from foreign competitors. That gives companies in the new industry time to learn how to produce the good efficiently and develop their own competitive advantages. Protectionism also temporarily creates jobs for domestic workers. So you hear Trump talking about creating jobs for the steel industry, the coal industry, the car industry, because it's going to limit the consumers of that market from going anywhere else. You have to buy American. You see, even for this current pipeline deal, they're saying, okay, well, all the pipe has to be American made. You see what I'm saying? It says, as domestic companies are protected by tariffs, quotas, or subsidies, they will hire locally. This will occur until other countries retaliate by erecting their own protectionism within that industry. Okay, disadvantages. In the long term, trade protectionism weakens the industry. Without competition, companies within the industry won't innovate and improve their products or services. There's no need to. Eventually, consumers will pay more for a lower quality product than they would get from foreign competitors. Job outsourcing is a result of declining U.S. competitiveness. It's itself a result of decades of the U.S. not investing in education. This is particularly true for high-tech engineering and science. Increased trade opens new markets for businesses to sell their products. Blah, 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 blah. Let's see. It says increasing U.S. protectionism will further slow economic growth and cause more layoffs, not less. If the United States closes its borders, other countries will do the same. This could cause layoffs among the 12 million U.S. workers who owe their jobs to exports. So all those things will get cut off, man. If you brothers want to, y'all can go and read the rest of this, but that's pretty much the point there on protectionism. You're going to see if he starts to clamp down on the exports, the U.S. has gone too far deep into globalism to just extract itself out of that system. Okay? And so when he does that, it's going to cause a shock. And inflation basically has already happened, but definitely it would cause inflation. Because whenever you look out into these markets, we're able to use the power of the dollar to buy commodities around the world cheap. So would you rather buy a $3 or a $2 avocado from Costa Rica or a $5 avocado from Florida? You're gonna get the Costa Rican avocado, but if they put trade barriers on that, trade, well, now you got to pay for this more expensive good. It's the same thing with petroleum or oil or gas. If they restrict you from getting it from this cheaper nation, a little bit into the TPP, but I'm not gonna go too far into it. I pretty much, made the point of what I want to make tonight. I'm gonna let y'all brothers listen to this one last little piece of this interview that Dex is having with the on this Rogue Money channel, and we'll close out.
I put stuff out.
He just re-signed the pipeline deal that we haven't renegotiated.
I don't know all about that, to be honest with you. I haven't done my due diligence on the TPP. I'll let you talk and explain that to me because I'm not on that. So explain the TPP. What's that about?
Well, the audience will be very familiar with this. I mean, I've talked about China's New Silk Road. I mean, 13 countries signed on to it, mostly because of the corporations that were in those countries. And it would give corporations full rights to do whatever the hell they want without any sort of recourse from products that have gone wrong, drugs that have had side effects. It also prevented. It also allowed these corporations to basically act without any sort of limitations on many of the countries they'll be operating in, allowing them to grab resources, this, that, and the other.
Okay.
Now that is in sharp contrast to what China and Russia is offering the world, which is mutually beneficial, real, free, and fair trade. Mm-hmm. So the TPP, which I call the toilet paper protocols, was an absolute garbage trade deal written by idiots. And any trade deal that doesn't include China is dead on arrival. That's the most stupidest thing in the world. That's why the Chinese looked at it the Chinese are like, this is crazy. Why would anybody want to sign up to this? And thank God that TPP is dead.
But in a nutshell, how does that affect me, the little guy? Why do I care?
You would lose more of your rights and your liberties as a consumer. It'll eliminate competition. There's going to be more regulations on the smaller business owner where you cannot compete. Because all of a sudden, let's say you created something amazing, like you created something, whatever.
So he's telling you that the TPP was created to combat the New Silk Road idea that China was going into. Now, if you want to know more about the New Silk Road, just go to Gmsdallas in class and the World War III algorithm. It's the last one I did on trade wars. And I believe, I don't know why I remember this, but around the 30th minute, maybe, or somewhere around there, I go in on the New Silk Road. It might be just a little bit before that. The Trans-Pacific Partnership was Davos, or the World Economics Forum, way of combating all the things that China, Russia, Iran, and the BRICS nations have been putting together to isolate China out of certain import-export trade deals that will hurt them. Okay, that's why you don't see Korea and you don't see China within the TPP. Okay. So that's what that's all about. And so, that's what they're kind of going in on here. Now, one brother said, holding firm until the end, Hebrews 3:6 said, it mentioned import countries, Barbados, and a major import country. Could you repeat what it says on import countries? I really don't know what you're talking about. I really don't know. I really don't know what you're talking about. Well, I'm gonna continue on.
A product that's never been done before. All of a sudden, some idiot corporation could come in and sue you, shut you down, ruin your life, saying, "Oh, you stole intellectual property."
So yeah, the TPP within it had all these fucking ridiculous ass fucking rules to where a corporation could sue a country, and if they felt like they was messing with with their market or whatever like that, they could actually sue a country. Just ridiculous stuff, man. Ridiculous. And when you go to this video that I pulled up, Davos 27, Protectionism, Back to the Future, and go to the World Economic Forum, you see the pompous, just the arrogance of these guys as they talk. I mean, it's just as if their civilization is the only realistic alternative to anything. Man.
And we're going to be talking about protectionism, Trump, Brexit, global trade flows,
see, they're afraid of that.
The WTO as well. But I'd like to start not with the WTO, That with David, or the two Davids. We have a collection of Davids at the end. So I'm going to pick on Honeywell first.
All CEOs are the same.
Exactly. Exactly. David, you have been quite outspoken, David Coate, Honeywell, in previous years.
Look at him. Look,
about
look.
the direction of corporate tax reform, government policies and things. As a company who essentially is based in all around the world, with operations all around the world, are you scared about protectionism? Do you think we're going back to the future?
It depends what happens. So I should start first with, I'm very much in favor of free trade. And I say many times, we've been learning since the...
So this whole Davos Institute, man, they're just there to promote the New World Order agenda and to continue its hegemon over the planet Earth, man. Okay? So I'm going to finish this right here, this interview, this part of this interview, and then I'll close out. To Chariots of God, I put on here before, I don't know if you brothers can see this, because I can see my stream is kind of tripping. This thing got slow. But hopefully I'll be able to. I've talked about it before, but if you can look, it says cons. I'm going to put it into the comment board section. Look there. Look there at that Cons Academy on YouTube. I know my video is out, but that's okay. Just look at the Cons Academy. Let's see if y'all brothers can see me, man. So if you want to just learn like what certain terms mean, like there's certain like terminology that when you listen to the news, if you don't know what the fuck they talking about, it's just gonna go right over your head. So you gotta look up the first like term, words. Like Apostle Gabar always goes into words. If you confused, just look up the words that they're talking about. Import. Look that shit up. Like look up the word import, export, trade, currency. Look them words up. And then as you look those words up, then you start to get a broader understanding of what the hell Esau's talking about. Because Esau used words to confuse you.
Hi, I'm Sal Khan.
He used words to get you caught up. Okay? So if you go to this Cons Academy, you click on playlist. You see he has all types. Look, he got world history, all types of stuff, man. You know me, man. I'm nerdy as hell. So I'll go through and just watch all types of random shit. But if you go here, he's got one on finance.
Well, now.
And then he'll go into interest and all this and that. And you can watch him break down these aspects of economics. And what I like to do is I always relate it back to the scriptures. So just like we talked about today, free trade, we saw an example of free trade in Tyrus. You can read about the downfall of that trade system here in the book of Ezekiel, the 22nd chapter. And as you read in the book of Ezekiel, the 22nd chapter, we saw how it was comparative to Babylon the Great in Revelation 18th chapter, how the merchants and everybody that dealt with them was going to well. I use that to show you how in America, that same trade system is happening and it's about to collapse and fall. You see what I'm saying? And so that's how you put all these little things together. Ultimately, do you need to go that deep in order to understand the scriptures? And no. But this is the portion that Yahweh Shemel Shah is giving me. So I go into it, We all have our different dispensations of understanding, teachings, and ministrations here through the spirit of Yahweh Shemel Shah. It's our duty to do or to work what the Most High has given to us to work with. Okay? But anyway, you know, I just want to close on that, man. I wanted to make those few points here about the TPP and about everything like that. So when you see these things on the news and you see the things that are coming up, you understand that it's all a part of Yahweh Shemawashi's algorithm. And, you know, so, you know, with that, Akim, man, I want to give all praise and glory to Yahweh, Bashem Yahushua. I want to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. I want to send peace, love, and salutation to Akim out there pushing the word in sincerity and truth. Shalom. Lord willing, that was edifying.